Imagine for a second that you've just sat down to what most of the world calls the perfect, healthy dinner. Maybe it's a beautiful piece of wild-caught salmon, grilled over a medium flame, paired with some steamed greens and a bit of lemon. You feel good about yourself. You've avoided the processed junk, you've skipped the fast food, and you're fueling your body with high-quality protein and those legendary omega-3s. But then, 30 minutes later, something changes. You don't feel energized. You don't feel light. Instead, you feel like you spent the last 8 hours out in the yard shoveling wet concrete. A sudden, suffocating fatigue washes over you, and your head feels like it's being wrapped in a thick, wet wool blanket. Then comes the itch. It's not a rash. You look at your arms and shins, and there's nothing there, but you can feel this creepy, crawly sensation right under the surface of your skin, like a chemical fire is slowly spreading through your tissue. Most people in this situation do exactly what you've probably done. They assume they have a mild allergy to seafood. They reach for an antihistamine, pop a pill, and hope it goes away by morning. But here is the reality that almost no one is explaining to you. 1 in every 4 people is eating a clean seafood dinner tonight and unknowingly lighting a biochemical fire inside their own arteries. What you're experiencing isn't a permanent sensitivity to the fish itself. It is a mechanical failure of your body's internal detox system, specifically a failure at your liver's phase 2 customs door. You aren't reacting to the food. You're reacting to what happens when you turn a high-quality protein into a toxic fragment that your body can no longer ship out. This is your body's alarm. Listen to it. If you've ever walked into a doctor's office with these symptoms, the fatigue, the strange itch, the persistent brain fog, you know exactly how the script goes. You're lucky to get 7 minutes of FaceTime in a modern clinical setting. In that tiny window, there is no time for a real conversation about biochemical pathways, liver stagnation, or the specific way you're preparing your evening meal. Instead, there is a prescription pad. The healthcare system we have today is extraordinarily efficient at managing disease, but it is fundamentally built around keeping you managed, not helping you get well. Think about the economics of that for a moment. A patient who understands how to fix their liver through a simple change in cooking temperature or a specific nutrient pairing is a lost customer for the pharmaceutical industry. There is zero profit in a person who actually recovers their health and walks away from the pharmacy counter forever. I've spent 15 years in clinical practice watching this cycle repeat over and over again. Patients are handed a lifetime sentence of statins or antihistamines without a single explanation of why their own body is failing them in the first place. This must change now. Hi, I'm Dr. Victor Halston. Over my 15 years in clinical practice, I've heard the same sentence from patients sitting across from me in my clinic chair. Doctor, my liver doesn't hurt, so it must be fine. That logic is one of the most dangerous traps in modern medicine. Here is the anatomical fact that your doctor likely won't mention during a routine 12-minute appointment. Your liver has absolutely no pain receptors inside its own tissue. None. A surgeon can literally cut into it with a scalpel, and the liver itself feels nothing. Evolution designed your liver to be a completely silent worker. Your heart warns you with crushing chest pain, your stomach screams with cramps, and a bad tooth will keep you awake all night. But your liver will work itself to death in total silence. You don't feel the damage as it's happening. You only feel it when the liver swells enough to push against its protective outer membrane, or when the gallbladder begins to scream because your bile has become as thick as motor oil. This is why that seafood allergy is so misunderstood. In 90% of the cases I see, what people call a sensitivity is actually metabolic intoxication. You aren't just reacting to the fish. You are experiencing a mechanical failure in your digestive system triggered by a chronically overloaded liver. We have to look at the hidden signals that bypass the pain nerves entirely. So how do you start reading the signals your liver is trying to send through this wall of silence? The first red flag, and the one that almost everyone misdiagnoses as a simple allergy, is the intense skin itching that starts in the evening. It usually hits your back, your forearms, or your shins. You scratch and scratch, but there's no rash, no bug bites, and no dry skin flakes to explain it. This is a clinical condition known as cholestasis. What is actually happening is that your liver has failed to fully dump its load of toxic bile acids into your intestines for disposal. Because the drain is clogged, those caustic bile acids are reabsorbed directly into your bloodstream. They travel to the surface of your skin and literally start chemically burning your nerve endings from the inside out. This isn't a dermatology problem, and it certainly isn't a reaction to laundry detergent. It is a sign that your blood has become toxic to your own tissue because your internal filtration system is physically blocked. The second signal is that specific heavy fatigue I mentioned earlier, what my patients call the concrete wall. You might wake up after 8 hours of sleep feeling like you haven't rested at all. You look in the mirror and see dull grayish skin and bags under your eyes that seem permanent. Often, there's a bitter or metallic taste in your mouth that won't go away even after brushing. Think of your liver as a factory that runs a mandatory night shift from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. During these hours, it is supposed to perform a systemic, deep clean, scrubbing metabolic waste out of your blood. If that factory is overloaded with oxidized fats from a poorly prepared seafood dinner, the night shift never finishes the job. You wake up with toxic debris still circulating in your blood, poisoning your brain cells, and leaving you in a state of heavy chemical overload. Your internal waste bin is overflowing. Now, I want you to look even further down, specifically at your feet. Take a moment and check your heels. Are they chronically dry? Are they deeply, painfully cracked, to the point where no amount of premium moisturizing cream or pumice stone seems to make a difference? Most people look at this as a cosmetic nuisance or a dry skin problem caused by walking barefoot or using the wrong soap. But in my clinical experience, this is one of the most accurate external barometers of what is happening in your internal plumbing. Those cracks are a visible cry for help from your liver. Specifically, they are a sign of a severe deficiency in fat-soluble vitamins, primarily vitamin A and vitamin E. You might be eating the most expensive organic foods and taking high-quality supplements, but if your bile isn't flowing, if that lazy liver stage I mentioned earlier has turned your bile into a thick, stagnant syrup, those vitamins are simply passing through your gut and getting flushed away. Your body needs bile to act as a natural detergent to emulsify and absorb fats. Without it, your skin cells lose their integrity, and the very first place that structural failure shows up is on the high-pressure skin of your heels. It is a textbook sign of stage 1 bile stagnation. Let's move to the second red flag, and this one is often overlooked until you're standing in front of a mirror under bright light. Look at your abdomen, your chest, or your shoulders. Do you see small, ruby red dots? They look like someone took a red ink pen and made a tiny, perfect prick on your skin. These are called cherry angiomas. In the medical system, these are often dismissed as just a sign of aging. But there is a specific biochemical reason they appear. Your liver is the primary organ responsible for breaking down used hormones out of your blood, especially estrogen. When your liver is fatty or overloaded with toxic metabolites, it loses its ability to keep up with that clearance. Your body's internal balance is failing. To understand why your body is reacting this way, we have to look at the internal mechanics of your liver's two-phase detoxification factory. This is the biochemical core of the problem. Your liver is essentially a sophisticated biological processing plant where every single toxin, whether it's a chemical you breathed in from the grout in your bathroom, a pesticide on a vegetable, or a component of your seafood dinner, must go through two distinct sequential stages of processing. Think of phase 1 as the strike force. This group of enzymes, specifically from the cytochrome P450 family, seizes the incoming molecules and begins breaking them apart through a process called oxidation. But here is the brutal paradox of human biology that almost no one explains clearly during a standard checkup. The fragments left over from phase 1 are often 10 to 100 times more toxic than the original substance. They become aggressive, volatile free radicals that can ricochet through your cells, burning and damaging everything they contact. If the process stops here, you are in serious trouble. This is where the second player comes in. Phase 2 is the packaging crew. These enzymes must immediately grab those volatile, dangerous fragments produced by phase 1 and bind them to a safe, neutralizing compound, usually an amino acid, a sulfur molecule, or something called glucuronic acid. Once they are packaged and sealed, the toxin is neutralized and ready to be shipped out of the building through your bile and into your intestines for disposal. The entire factory only works if phase 1 and phase 2 are in a state of perfect fluid balance. When you eat fish that has been seared or fried at high temperatures, you are flooding your liver with oxidized metabolites that hit phase 1 like a tidal wave. If your phase 2 packaging crew is idle or paralyzed, perhaps because you are deficient in specific sulfur compounds or the basic amino acids found in high-quality protein, the factory floor becomes buried in toxic fragments. These reactive poisons have nowhere to go, so they leak out of the liver and into your general circulation. This triggers a massive systemic inflammatory response that your immune system identifies as a foreign threat. You aren't actually reacting to the fish. You are reacting to the mess. Now that we understand exactly where the failure points are, I want to give you the precise, correct use protocol that I recommend to my patients in the clinic. This isn't just a list of healthy ingredients. It's a biological timing strategy designed to keep your phase 2 packaging crew alert and ready for action. Step 1 is what I call the broccoli mustard hack. There is a compound found in the cell walls of broccoli called glucoraphanin. On its own, it's inert, but when you chew it or chop it, it reacts with a specific enzyme called myrosinase to produce sulforaphane, the most potent natural activator of phase 2 detoxification ever identified by clinical research. The problem is that most of you are boiling your broccoli for 10 or 15 minutes, which kills that delicate enzyme instantly. My protocol is simple. Steam your broccoli florets for exactly 3 to 4 minutes until they are bright green and slightly firm. Then, once they are on your plate, immediately cover them with a teaspoon of dry mustard powder. Dry mustard is extraordinarily rich in that specific enzyme you just cooked off. By adding it back, the chemical reaction happens right there in your dish, providing your liver with a protective, bulletproof vest. Step 2 is the temperature rule. You must never cook your fish or your olive oil above 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. High heat causes the delicate omega-3 fatty acids in seafood to oxidize. It literally makes them go rancid before they even hit your tongue. When you keep the heat at a medium level, you preserve the polyphenols and ensure the fish remains a repair tool. Step 3 is the post-cook drizzle. After your fish comes off the heat, drizzle it with fresh, high-quality, extra virgin olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. The raw olive oil provides a compound called oleocanthal, which acts as a powerful natural anti-inflammatory, but only if it hasn't been denatured by heat. Finally, step 4 is the 7 p.m. circadian cutoff. Your liver's peak activity runs from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. This clean mode only activates if insulin levels are at baseline. If you eat a late-night snack, you spike insulin and cancel the night shift. As we wrap up, I need to leave you with one final, urgent warning that could quite literally save your life. If you experience that evening itch or that heavy, concrete fatigue after your seafood dinner, do not reach for a bottle of acetaminophen. Most of you know it as Tylenol. In a standard 12-minute appointment, your doctor won't tell you that taking even a standard dose of acetaminophen can wipe out your liver's primary antioxidant defense, a molecule called glutathione, within hours. We call glutathione the liver's bulletproof vest. When you take that pill to mask a headache, you aren't fixing the problem. You are stripping your liver of its only defense against the toxic fragments we've been talking about, potentially leading to acute failure. Instead, try a simple mechanical hack. Tonight, train yourself to fall asleep on your left side. This allows the weight of the liver to shift left, decompressing the major vein that returns blood to your heart and allowing your internal filtration system to run at full capacity while you sleep. You should also use a pillow between your knees to drop intra-abdominal pressure. Remember, the window for reversal is wide, but it starts to close as you wait. This becomes even more critical as you get older. After the age of 45, your liver's regenerative response slows down, and after 50, fatty liver progresses to fibrosis nearly 3 times faster. The older you are, the less room there is for half measures. So, I want to hear from you. How old are you? Drop your age in the comments below. It tells me who needs the most urgent information, and it shapes what I investigate next. I'm Dr. Victor Halston, and I've spent 15 years watching preventable damage happen because the right information wasn't given in time. Subscribe, leave a like, and help us reach that goal. Your health is in your hands. This is the start of your recovery. Now, I have one simple request for you. Do not try to fix everything about your liver starting tomorrow. If you suddenly change your diet, your cooking methods, your sleep timing, and everything else at once, you will feel overwhelmed. And most people give up before they see any real results. Real healing doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one small change, repeated every single day. So today, pick just one thing. Maybe it's cooking your food at a lower temperature. Maybe it's avoiding late-night eating so your liver can do its job. Or maybe it's simply paying attention to the signals your body has been sending you for a long time. That evening itch, that heavy fatigue, that constant feeling of not being fully well. Which of these signs have you been ignoring? Tell me in the comments. I read them. If this video helped you understand what your body might actually be going through, share it with someone in your family who is always tired, dealing with unexplained weakness, or struggling with symptoms no one has clearly explained to them. And if you want more simple, honest health explanations like this, make sure you subscribe. Finally, remember, everything shared in this video is general information for awareness. It is not a replacement for your personal medical care. Always consult your doctor before making any major changes to your diet, supplements, or lifestyle. Your doctor is your partner in this journey. Take care of your body. It's been protecting you quietly, even when you didn't notice.